Absolution with Steven Seagal. The new Steven Seagal direct-to-DVD film. This is actually part of a series that he's been doing. The other two entries were A Good Man and... what was the other one called? The other one was called Force of Execution. I'm going to tell you right now, neither of us have seen these other two films. I
don't think it matters.
It doesn't matter really at all. We're just going to judge this movie on its own. And if you don't want to listen to us break down the whole film, which is what we're about to do, we'll just give you a quick summary now if you just want to get the gist of it. Here's what I learned from this movie. Steven Seagal is completely immobile, and he's still, after over 10 years of doing mostly nothing but directed DVD crap, he still refuses to change his ways, and he still does crappy directed DVD films. He is still out of shape. He still does not care. He puts no effort into anything. It's depressing to see him on the screen. Nothing new in that department. But here is why this movie is actually worth checking out, at least to some extent. The second lead in the film is Byron Mann, who I know as Ryu from the Jean-Claude Van Damme Street Fighter movie. And Byron Mann steals the show.
Oh, yeah.
This guy, from beginning to end, is awesome. His delivery, his character is likable, and he's actually a fairly talented martial arts choreographer. So, all in all, the Steven Seagal stuff sucks. It's the same stuff that we've seen in all of his other crappy direct-to-DVD films, and it's really sad to see him just not care anymore. But the movie is still pretty fun because of Byron Mann. As far as how the film is made, it's low quality. It's what you'd expect. Crappy CGI at times.
Unnecessary
CGI at times.
Which really makes no sense, because isn't that technically more expensive? To just put some unnecessary cases. CGI?
Yeah, in some cases. I'd say it's better than the Marine 4, for whatever that counts. Not definitely
because of Byron Mann.
Yeah, because of Byron Mann. It has better production qualities than the Marine 4. Marine 4 was just shot in the
Marine
woods.
4 looks like it was just shot in someone's backyard.
Yeah. Definitely not as good as Skin Trade. Skin Trade was actually a genuinely enjoyable film. This movie sucked, but Byron Mann makes the movie pretty fun. So, if you're a fan of Byron Mann, or if you don't know who he is, I'd still recommend checking it out for him. He makes the movie quite a bit of fun. And I know Byron Mann's not as young as he used to be, but I actually now look forward to possibly seeing him in more of these direct-to-DVD action films, because maybe we can continue to see him steal the show. So, but by no means, don't spend much money on this. Maybe Redbox it. Do not go to the store and spend $15 on a DVD of this. Go Redbox it. Or just watch it online.
Or just don't even bother.
But if you're hoping that this might be an uplifting note from Steven Seagal, it's not. He still continues to disappoint. So let's break down the plot here.
But see, I think the worst thing about that is that I don't think he cares.
No, he doesn't care.
And that's the worst part.
You know what's... Some people that don't watch these kind of direct-to-DVD action movies, I've talked to some friends, and they are actually shocked when they hear me say that I look forward to the new Van Damme movie. I look forward to the new Dolph Lundgren movie that's coming out on DVD and not really coming out in wide theaters. And they say, why? And I said, well, even though they've made some really crappy direct-to-DVD films, they've also made some really good ones. Because when those two actors kind of lost their Hollywood spark, and they mostly are now doing direct-to-DVD films, they, unlike Seagal, did not throw up their hands, gain a bunch of weight, and say, well, screw it. I guess I'll just make as much money as possible off of these crappy films. They took that as an opportunity to improve their acting and actually do some dark, unique, somewhat artistic movies. Van Damme especially, but even Dolph Lundgren to some extent. But Van Damme, this guy in the past 10 years has become a better actor than he ever was in his prime back in the 90s and 80s. He's doing movies like Wake of Death and Replicant, Universal Soldier Regeneration, Universal Soldier Day of Reckoning, and Assassination Games with Scott Adkins. And Dolph Lundgren got to do this too. Skin Trade was a good example of that, but he's also done some other stuff. Seagal is just the prime example of why an actor would never want to be lowered to direct-to-DVD hell. Because just look at the guy. Look at how much this guy has sunk.
So basically what you're saying is Lundgren and Van Damme took being lowered to direct-to-DVD as, hey, these people are showing me that I'm being lowered to direct-to-DVD, so maybe I need to step it up to show them that I have what it takes. And Seagal was just like, screw it.
Yeah. Well, and also Van Damme and Lundgren prove that direct-to-DVD does not necessarily mean bad. It means it's not, these people suck because they're direct-to-DVD. It could mean these people
It just means lower budget.
It means they're independent. It means that they're ambitious. It means that they are saying, we don't need Hollywood to make a good movie.
But just because it's lower budget doesn't mean it's bad. I mean, look at the first Mad Max movie.
Absolutely. So, let's get into Absolution here. We open with We open with a very hard to hear monologue by Seagal. Seagal...
Well, so hard to hear that you were like, is that even Seagal talking right now? I can't tell.
I mean, Seagal has a reputation with these movies to not even go into the studio to finish the ADR work, and they'll have someone else dub his lines. But he's just whispering. That's what he does this whole freaking film is whisper.
Never changes his facial expression once.
No, not at all. And he just gives the most generic, laughable monologue about how he's done bad things and he wants redemption. And then we get the credits, and we thought this was called Absolution. It's actually called The Mercenary Absolution. I guess they just didn't have enough time or enough motivation to go on Premiere Pro and change the title sequence. So we cut to someone's living room posed as an office, and so we meet the guy who is contracting Seagal, who is a mercenary, and, we just learn from this scene alone that after 30 years, Seagal does nothing different in acting except, about 15 years ago, he gained a crap load of weight, and a couple years ago, he grew a hilarious-looking beard. That's about the only thing that's changed.
A goatee, and it looks like a circle.
Yeah, it looks... that goatee looks pretty bad. So he gets assigned a job to kill this terrorist guy in the Ukraine.
No, he was assigned to capture.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. He gets assigned to capture a terrorist,
which kind of gets lost along the way.
We'll get back to that in a minute. So then we meet the best character in the movie, Byron Mann. We're just going to call him Ryu throughout this review because that's what I know him as, Ryu from Street Fighter. And we learn immediately that this movie will not be dead because even though Seagal is sleepwalking through this film, Byron Mann, or Ryu as I like to call him, is giving charisma, attitude, likability, emotion, care. Things that every character should have in a movie and every actor should give in a performance.
It almost seems like, going into this, Byron was like, or Ryu was like, he knew how bad Seagal was, so he's like, okay, I've got to step it up to compensate for Seagal.
It's not the first movie they've done together.
Yeah.
So he's obviously worked with this guy before, so he probably knows exactly how to deal with this prima donna, this 63-year-old overweight prima donna. So the two hatch their plan. We cut to the hideout that the terrorist is in, where he is kissing random girls in underwear, and it's at this point where I realize that the music in the film, which is terrible, by the way, is louder than a lot of the dialogue at times. So, nice editing, guys. We cut to more girls stripping to underwear, and Steven Seagal and Ryu sneak into the house at night, and Seagal is still wearing his sunglasses. And we get a really crappy shoot-'em-up scene with Seagal and some bad guys. We get some very bad CGI blood. We get our first action scene with Ryu, which, although it was kind of silly the way how it was done, it was well performed by him. And it was at this point that I realized that he was going to be stealing the movie. And we also are introduced to two new villains. One of whom is UFC fighter Josh Barnett. He is in this movie for less than 5 minutes. And the other villain...
Total screen time, yeah.
Yeah. And the other villain is a woman who is wearing a fur coat halfway.
It wasn't even that she was wearing it halfway. It was just half a fur coat. Like it was just like a long fur thing, just like strapped over her.
Okay,
it was silly.
She was wearing what must have been
half a bear,
a customized half coat, a one sleeve coat, if you will, to show how rich and snobby she is. So Seagal traps this terrorist. They talk for a second. And then, randomly, in cold blood, Seagal shoots the guy in the head and leaves.
With the worst CGI, like, blood splat. Like,
oh, yeah. The blood splattering in this, the digital effects were so bad. And
which is funny because, as we mentioned earlier, he was tasked to capture this guy. And he just blows him away.
Maybe we missed something in the dialogue, but I don't think they really explained why it was necessary.
It's not like we can hear it anyways over the freaking music.
Yeah.
It was
this music was... It felt like they went... I'm on the Wikipedia page. There were 2 people that did music for this film. Could have fooled me. I would have believed that they just went on some public media website where you can just take public domain music. But anyways, so this then leads to a very unnecessary car explosion where Seagal and Ryu leave the building, they drive away in a van, and then they park the van and they blow up the car for absolutely no reason. And just so we could have a slow-mo walk away from a car explosion that was obviously green screen and CGI'd. And it's at this point in the movie that we both notice at the exact same time that Seagal is constantly buttoned up. He's either zipped up or buttoned up with a big coat. I've noticed this in other movies that he's done lately. It's to hide his fatness. It doesn't work. We can still tell he's fat. So they're back at Seagal's apartment, and Seagal is told by his contractor over the phone that his payment has been delayed. This was their way of telling us that the contractor is a villain, but he's not quite ready to be a villain yet. So then Seagal does not even blink an eye about this and decides, hey, we should go to a bar. So then it cuts to them at a bar, and we get a long, unnecessary talk between Seagal and Ryu, talk about how good buddies they are. They talk for a little while. We learn from this conversation, too, more and more, that Ryu is likable, Seagal is asleep, and then we cut to the setting of Saw. Literally, we cut to the green, warehouse, kitchen-like setting of Saw, where we see bloodied up women that are getting beaten up by some S&M dude, who we later find out is the main villain, and a woman runs away from all this, and it turns out that this... Very
lazily.
Yes, very, very easily, actually. And she ends up... It turns out that this room, this Saw setting, is in a club called, very creatively, Club 1. And she runs away from the club. Henchmen run after her. We don't really know what's going on here. She runs, and the villains Michael Myers her, which is my way of saying that they casually walk after her as she is running. She runs into the bar that Seagal and Ryu in, and they both help her out, and they beat up the bad guys pretty bad. Seagal's scenes, it's the typical Seagal Aikido scenes, only very badly shot, shaky cam. It's their way of covering up the fact that he can't do anything anymore. And then Seagal is ready to leave, and he gets in his car, and the girl that was running, that he helped out, gets in the car with her. And then he turns and very casually says to this frightened, traumatized, beautiful young woman, "What are you doing here, man? What are you doing here, man?" Wow. So, we then cut, basically, she asks him to help. He doesn't want to, but then he agrees to. And, so we cut back to the office, or the apartment that Seagal hides out in. And the woman basically explains that she and her sister were kidnapped. They originally hired her to do a job to like babysit people, and she and her sister got kidnapped. The sister got killed by that guy, And then we learn that the villains in this movie are basically the villains from Hostel. They basically run a crime syndicate where they kidnap people and rich people pay them to torture them and do whatever they want to them. So it's basically Hostel. So there you go. And then Seagal gives a very weird monologue about how he's done bad things in his life and he feels like helping her out will be his absolution, his redemption. And then he says a line. I'm not going to say this line, but I think if Austin wants to, he can, but only if he does it in his best Steven Seagal impression. So he basically, to give you the setup, he's giving this monologue, and he talks about how after everything he's been through, he feels like every guy is out. He feels like everybody is out to get him, and then he says, "I believe every man is out there to fuck me." That could not have been worded any dumber, weirder.
When he said that line, we were both like, "What? What did he say?"
I kind of get what he was trying to say, but wow, did that come off bad. That just came off so
and the fact
wrong.
And the fact that he's saying it while half asleep just makes it better.
Yeah. So, Seagal agrees to help her out. He and Ryu are going to find the people that did this and kill them all. And, of course, Seagal's contractor calls him up and tells him how unhappy he is. Again, this is just foreshadowing to when he eventually turns...
heel.
Yeah, he turns heel. Yeah, he turns heel. And Vinnie Jones is the actor that plays the main villain in this, who was the sadistic torturer guy. He tells his henchmen he wants the woman back. She has evidence that links him to all this. So then we get Ryu interrogating a guard. This was awesome because Ryu was just so much fun to watch in this scene. And then we come back to Seagal flirting with, uncomfortably with the victim girl.
We get a lot of uncomfortable scenes with them.
He continues to stay zipped up, this time in a leather jacket. And then we get flashbacks of what I assume is Seagal's dying wife from who knows how long ago. This never comes back to the rest of the film. I'm going to give this movie the tiniest break and suggest that maybe this is further explained in the other films. That's my only possible way of explaining it. Otherwise, this was entirely pointless. So, the three worst henchmen in the world invade Seagal's apartment and get killed very quickly by Seagal. They are very poorly gunned down by him.
The last kill, though.
Yeah.
And then falling over the...
Well, how about you explain it?
I can't. You explain it better.
I was writing notes down when it happened. I just saw bits and pieces.
Well, basically, he kills two of the guys and then kills the last guy who's like trying to use the girl to protect himself. So he falls against the wall. The girl comes to Seagal and they start to walk back down the stairs. The guy gets up to go to attack them. Seagal shoots him again, and then with the stupidest like Wilhelm scream, he falls over the edge of the railing, falls down, and like hits the ground with like CGI dust everywhere. And it was like, wow, that was stupid. Like, oh my God.
Bad. So Ryu does some more entertaining investigation, and he follows the guys that they beat up at the bar from the hospital, and we then cut to more bad guys invading Seagal's apartment, only this time Seagal is prepared and he has the place wired. So here's the picture. Bad guy walks into Seagal's office.
Are we talking about the
explosion? Yeah.
Okay.
Bad guy walks into Seagal's office. There's a table. There's a bomb under the table. He is facing this
on
table.
The side of the table.
Yeah. He's facing the table. From the other side of that table is a window. Seagal blows up the apartment, and somehow this guy ends up on the opposite side of the table, flying out of the window. I know they wanted to get a shot. I know they wanted to get a stunt shot of a guy flying out of an explosion, but that was not well filmed or well edited, for that matter.
Well, and, it's just stupid because it's like, so he went the opposite way of the explosion.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. So Ryu breaks into some bad guy's apartment, beats them up. Fun little action scene.
That scene was actually pretty fun.
It's a fun little scene, and we get some more fun interrogation involving hot water. And, and there's something that he learns from this interrogation scene. We learn the name of the villain that what's the guy's name? Vinnie Jones? I think that's his name. I already forgot. Yeah. We learn that his name is the Boss. Who's the Boss? He's the head of the crime syndicate. That's all we get. So
such lazy writing.
It's at this part where Seagal's contractor is officially a bad guy, and he goes over, and Seagal basically learns that the victim has hid evidence at the club that she escaped from. She had the camcorder that the boss was filming of him torturing her and her sister to death.
Which by the way, in the scene earlier when we saw her, she got out of the room, with the camcorder. She plopped down, she ran up in the club, ran outside, ran down the street, and then into the club with Seagal, and then left Seagal. When did she have time to go into the bathroom and hide the camcorder up on the thing?
I thought that's how she escaped through. Like, she went over that thing that led into the bathroom.
No.
That's my only...
I don't think...
I don't know. The camcorder that links evidence to the boss is hidden in the bathroom of this club. Club 1. Very creatively called. So, Seagal and Ryu agree to meet at the club. Seagal does a douchey parking job at Club 1, parking over 2 lanes like a complete douchebag. And it is like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and this club is packed.
It's pumping, dude.
It's packed like it is a Saturday night at 1 a.m. This place is packed. People are dancing. People are stripping. It is 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So, no one seems to mind Seagal's douchey parking job, but it does draw attention to one of the bad guys. And so, the woman retrieves the camcorder, gives it to Seagal, and then we get our obligatory club action scene. It's basically a very, very, very light version of the club action scene in Collateral or John Wick. Not even close to being as good as those two, but it feels like it was trying to be like that.
Or Seagal beats up like 6 bad guys and Ryu beats up 1.
And yeah, oddly enough, Ryu's action scene was more entertaining than Seagal poorly beating up 6 guys.
Can we talk about the ding?
Oh yeah, one of the Aikido moments that Seagal had, it looked like he legitimately patted a guy on the nose, but the sound effect was supposed to tell us that he broke his nose by essentially giving a high five to the guy's nose. Very silly. Very dumb. The music sucked. And I hated this. This may seem like a nitpick, but when the action started in the club, they stopped playing the club music and started playing the suspenseful score that they've been using throughout the whole film. I hated that. What I really like about the club action scenes in Collateral and John Wick is that you hear the booming electronic dance music that the club is playing while these people are fighting. It works for multiple reasons. 1, it's realistic. But 2, it puts you in the moment. But 3, you have this pumping EDM music that's supposed to get you kind of charged up, and you're listening to this while you're seeing these people beat all these other people up and shoot these people up. It just makes it more exciting. So for them to be playing that while they're walking around the club, but then stop playing that music when they start fighting and go back to their crappy orchestra music that has been very underwhelming throughout the whole film and way too loud, that was a mistake, I think, in the editing sake.
Well, and going with the audio, too, there was times where a scene would be happening with the music where it would be, kind of the same volume and everything, and then it'd cut to another scene, and it'd be like 3 times as loud. And it would be like distracting because it'd be like, oh my gosh, this is so loud.
Yeah.
Like, can't you have the same tone throughout this movie?
Yeah, it was very poor editing on the sound department. Very, very poor. We talked about that earlier. There were times where the music was louder than the dialogue. That's a big no-no. So, very poor on that. Ryu gets hit by a car and gets captured. We both started to get worried that the best character and actor was going to get killed. He gets taken to the villain hideout. He gets tortured a tiny bit. Seagal's contractor is there and he gives a bad guy talk. And in absolutely no time wasted, Seagal invades the hideout. And Seagal has some very lame shooting scenes. He very poorly shoots down some fat guys. And Ryu escapes, thank God. And the victim, the woman, ends up killing the ringleader of this syndicate, who was the lady earlier that was wearing the one-sleeve coat, who has barely been in this film. She gets killed by the good girl, the victim. She ends up shooting her. It was very quick and very pointless. Ryu has a fun action scene with the contractor and another villain. It's a pretty cool scene. And then he gets shot. And we both got very worried that Ryu was about to die. But then Ryu ended up surviving it. Seagal saved the day.
Surviving it miraculously, even with a bullet wound through his shoulder.
Yeah.
Which seems to not affect his arm or any other parts of his body at all.
He recovered pretty quickly. And we get some very lame CGI blood. And then we get probably the most horrifying thing in this film. We've had some brutal action in this film. We had that kind of Hostel-like villain where he's torturing these two women, one of whom he beats to death with a pipe in this Saw-looking bathroom or kitchen, whatever it was. And this poor woman, she has been through hell. She was kidnapped. She saw her sister get beat to death with a pipe. She was beaten herself. She miraculously escaped. And since then, she's been in danger from beginning to end. And then something happened that was more horrifying than all that. She had to kiss Steven Seagal.
She became the love interest.
She had to kiss Steven Seagal. That poor woman had to put her lips on that
63-year-old
She will never be the same. So, Seagal confronts the boss.
But here's the thing, set up this scene, okay? When he calls the guy to set up the final confrontation, the guy says, we're going to meet there, but we're going to meet alone. So Seagal goes there alone.
Yeah.
And I said, oh no, he's alone. Ryu's not there. And we were both like, no.
Yeah, you see, UFC fighter Josh Barnett is in this movie, and we're like, okay, so in the end, he's going to get his big action scene, of course. And the whole movie, we're like, oh no. Like, what if he doesn't fight Ryu? What if he doesn't fight Byron Mann? What if he ends up fighting Seagal? That's going to be a lame action scene because it's going to be a bunch of crappy shaky cam and stunt doubles. Because
like,
Steven Seagal
when he has his big fight scene, I hope it's with Ryu. And you were like, hi, that's what I've been thinking this whole movie.
So Byron Mann, Ryu has been shot, and then Seagal's like, I gotta go to this alone. So we're like, oh crap. Seagal's gonna fight Josh Barnett. So they go into this. They go back to Club 1.
Well, he does.
He goes back to Club 1. The club is empty, yet the club lights are still flashing. And they talk for a little bit. Seagal calls the boss a bitch like probably 10 times in this scene. It was pretty funny. And then Ryu sneaks into the club to fight Josh Barnett.
Our reaction when he snuck in is not the reaction you should have to a secondary character coming in.
We both literally at the same time went, yes!
Yes!
Thank God! Now we will get a fun action scene.
Great shot, kid. That was 1 in a million.
Yeah, he Han Solo'd it. So he snuck in for the climax. And we got exactly what we thought we would get. We got Steven Seagal getting some crappy, poorly shot hand-to-hand combat with a no-name bad guy. And then we got a pretty fun, not great, but a pretty fun fight scene.
It was enjoyable.
It was enjoyable between Josh Barnett.
Better than if it was Seagal
Absolutely.
doing it.
We had a fun fight scene between Josh Barnett and Byron Mann. It was pretty brutal. And
can kind of dies anticlimactically.
Yeah, a little bit. It was a little lame, but that was okay. And Seagal confronts the boss, calls him a bitch a few more times, and then Seagal holds out his hand, all fingers out. This is not like Roadhouse, if this is what you picture.
He did that to the no-name. He didn't do that to the boss man. Are you talking about when he stabbed?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did that to the no-name.
Are you sure?
Man. Yeah, because the boss man gets thrown over the
Oh,
side
you're right,
head.
he did, yeah. When Seagal was fighting the no-name, yeah, you're right. He held out his hand and with his tip of his fingers stabbed through the middle of the guy's neck. This is not like Roadhouse where Patrick Swayze grabbed his neck and ripped out the skin. No. He stabbed his neck with his fingers. Explain. I don't get it. Anyways,
if Sebastian was here, I'm sure he'd be like, "Oh, well, you see, guys."
He would find a way. He would find a way. So,
anyways,
Seagal does end up killing the boss. It was kind of lame, and
but I mean, it's not like we care because we've seen this boss for a total of like 3 minutes.
There was more bad CGI blood and some very bad CGI dust, where they were shooting at each other and shooting concrete, and they had CGI dust pop out. And so then we have Seagal give an ending monologue about how everything has worked out. And then we cut to the new Steven Seagal home, where we see a huge painting on the wall of Steven Seagal holding an electric guitar. Now, I know that Steven Seagal is actually a musician. He has actually released a couple albums.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I think I want to say it's blues. I think he's a blues musician. I don't know if this was related to that or if this was made for the movie. All I know is I need this painting on my wall because that was awesome. So we then get a very awkward flirtatious scene between the love interest and Seagal, where Seagal is sitting in a chair and she is standing up, and she holds his hand and is trying to, like, lure him to get off of his chair, and he refuses to, so then she eventually just agrees to sit down with them, and they very uncomfortably kiss. And then it cuts to Ryu, who is walking out of some place, and he... This was so random. Ryu kind of, like, makes kind of this sort of, like, yeah kind of face, and then it cuts to credits, and that was Absolution, or should I say the Mercenary Absolution, or should I say the Byron Man movie. This movie sucked, but Byron Man was awesome.
You know, in my opinion, if they could have like maybe gone in, changed a few things in ADR and stuff like that, just cut out every single scene with Seagal and just kept in all the stuff with Byron Man, it would have still made sense and been a much better movie.
Yeah, I completely agree. There were times when Seagal was looking after the woman at the apartment and Byron Man was investigating, these scenes were so night and day that it felt like two different movies at times. So, Absolution.
Also, something that I remember. Okay, you know the Steven Seagal's Russian friend, the guy that was helping Byron Man throughout the thing? He just kind of fell from the plot.
I think he was a bad guy. Because when Byron Man is in the apartment and he grabs that phone, we see him on the phone talking to somebody, but it was hard to hear what he was saying because of the editing. But I think he was talking to the bad guys, and I think he's the one that Byron Man escapes from when he's in the pool. And he snaps his neck, or he chokes him with his legs. I'm pretty sure that's him. Either that or he got killed back at the nightclub. One of those two.
I guess I missed
Maybe I think he actually might have gotten shot up in the nightclub. I can't remember. So, yeah. We did this because we did not want to really see Tomorrowland. I'm sure it's a fine movie. We just weren't that interested. And Austin didn't want to see Poltergeist, so I'll probably see Poltergeist sometime soon. But hope you enjoyed listening to this if you've been with us throughout the whole review. And thanks for listening.